Welcome back to the channel. Callum McGregor insists, a bit like me, I never look at the media of what's happening across the road. But Callum McGregor has been talking to the media. Brendan Rodgers has been giving us an update on some players and transfer speculation, so make sure you watch all the video. Callum McGregor is a bit like me, and he's not interested in what other clubs are doing. He says the chasing pack tries to close the gap to the back-to-back champions. Remember, we are back-to-back champions. It says the fact that Celtic have added 5 new faces, with Brendan Rodgers also replacing the winning boss Ange Postecoglou that won Celtic back-to-back titles in the hot seat. But with Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen all spent significant money to bolster their squads in an attempt to get closer to Celtic, the Celtic captain insists that they have taken no notice. Neither him nor Rodgers or anyone else in the team have taken no notice whatsoever on who they're signing, or they haven't even looked at the squads of the other teams. He said, "Our biggest quest and our only focus is to win 3 in a row with Celtic Football Club." Talking about that, Brendan Rodgers has also spoke about that we're not here to defend the title. We don't need to defend the title. We're here to win the title. Everyone starts on 0 points, Brendan said. He says he's relishing the expectation following the club's latest treble. He says, but that means nothing to him now. You know, that's all in the past. The fact that Celtic have won 5 trebles in 7 seasons since he first arrived in 2016 is something that we should all, we have to look back. And when I was a kid, a treble was something that was practically impossible to do. The fact that we did it under Martin O'Neill was fantastic, and it was amazing, and the excitement of that season was something to behold and always go down in history. The fact that it wasn't then achieved until later on, and these things, we don't expect to win them as Celtic fans. Celtic fans never go out there like what a team did across the city and sing Simply the Best and to try and prove their dominance. We don't need to prove our dominance, we just quietly go about it. But Brendan Rodgers has said at the beginning of this season, we are here to win the treble. Yep, he said it. That's it. Anything less will be complete failure this season. Rodgers had an incredible run winning, the invincible season. And then he said, the next season we didn't amass as many points. He says he does have the knowledge of doing it twice, and he understands the pitfalls of what success are. He won 7 trophies in his time here, you've got to remember that. And he feels he's got unfinished business. He says that him and the squad have spoken about things over pre-season. For a club like Celtic, it's always about winning. And it's not just about winning, it's winning in the best way possible. Sometimes that's harder. We did the treble the second time, we didn't amass the same amount of points. Our game plan was maybe just at the same level, but we turned up at the big games, and that's what matters. And you know what the big games are, and it's all about just beating them and getting ahead of them. Brendan Rodgers also went and saying that's the idea this season, to win 3 trophies. It's an incredible achievement. It's a new season, a new motivation, new desires. I'm looking forward to the challenge to win every trophy again with Celtic. Rodgers stressed that Celtic need to impose themselves again, to make sure that there isn't a title race. They want to hold on to what they have. The mentality is there. Rather than defend it, we want to win it. That's the key. We start everything afresh. It says everyone starts with no points at the beginning of the season. That's the excitement coming back here. I always felt I had unfinished business when I left. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to take on that pressure, that expectation that comes with managing Celtic Football Club. They've added new signings, but he says, but losing Jota has been one of the big things, and he says we have to move on. The former Leicester manager also said, I was fresh, so I needed to assess over a period of time, over the closed season, the last couple of weeks, the squad. Over time, we'll look to improve the squad further, so this has given us a hint to transfer activities and improving this team even more. Over time, we'll look at the squad even further, and it's the best time to do it. Whenever you have had success, success becomes that moving target. It keeps moving. The challenges keep moving year on year, will be even greater. So we have to ensure that we have a squad that can match that success. Both Cameron Carter-Vickers and Tony Ralston made appearances for James Forrest testimonial game. And you've got to say, we have missed the big man, Cameron Carter-Vickers. And you've got to say, Ralston looked right up for it as well. They're back in the squad. They're probably not up to speed, said Brendan. I'm sure you've watched the Brendan interview. And he also said that the boys are still looking in good condition. He says, we'll have a look at them tomorrow, being Friday, and then we'll decide whether they're going to be in the squad, never mind just the starting 11. So tell me what you think about the comments. There will be a massive live tomorrow night where we'll do our prediction. We're going to do a Celtic Ross County live prediction, live team prediction. That is going to be one of the worst things to try and predict because we have so many players that are actually so good. You know, and there's been a lot of media attention to the fact that other clubs have brought in so many players and Celtic have been quite stagnant. We've brought in 5 players, but nobody knows the quality of the players yet. Nobody knew the quality of Kyogo. Nobody knew the quality of Dyson. Nobody knew the quality of Cameron Carter-Vickers, who was a journeyman and is now an absolute solid part and integral to Celtic. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic season ahead, and you can tell that the manager is absolutely buzzing for that. So, with that being said, the Celtic manager did speak about fringe players, and those fringe players obviously being Liam Scales, Iwata and Bernabe. And he also spoke about players that might be coming to the club, or he hinted. But let's talk about Liam Scales first of all. He says Liam Scales, who hadn't seen a great deal of time at Celtic beforehand, he obviously went out on loan. It was said, Brendan Rodgers said, I've had a good chance to see him over the last 4 or 5 weeks. It says, so it's given me a big chance to look at these players. Iwata as well. We've played Iwata at right back. He was brought in as a midfield player. He played at centre half. He's shown that he can play at right back as well. That's what pre-season is all about, said Brendan. It's like gaining fitness and finding opportunities to experiment with players. So we did ask why certain players were getting played out of position. Brendan's trying to find out what a player's favoured position is and what his best position is and what he can then bring out of that player to make them even better. Asked about Bernabe, who had sort of laid down a marker for a starting spot. He's caught the eye pre-season, to be fair, especially against Club Athletic. He was really good when he hit the back of the net. Obviously, I've spoken to a lot of players, said Brendan. Alexandro is a player I've been able to connect with and find out a little bit more about, which is interesting. He says he's really good going forward and he knows how to work defensively, that aspect of the game. We have a number of players who haven't had a lot of game time, he says, but the slate is clean for them. There are a number of guys that have showed up really well in pre-season. I'll judge players on their merit and what they produced in the pre-season instead of what they did before. So it looks like Scales won't be going to Aberdeen by the sounds of it. There has been an indication that Sorrow will be let go for nothing. It looks like Celtic are preparing to rip up his contract to let him leave the club for nothing, which gets him off the wage bill. We do have Marco to come in and to cover sort of that area also, but you know, letting Sorrow go is not really anything to be sorry about. In other Celtic transfer news, there has been a link, but there's also competition from Premier clubs. Celtic are being linked with an Algerian, according to reports. He is 29. He is a free agent. He did snub a deal at League One side in France, but I don't know about this one. I'm not too sure about it, so we're not going to mention too much about it just now. But there is an Algerian, Haris Belkabir, who, according to reports, is on Celtic's radar. So make sure you join us for the live tomorrow. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel well before we go live at 7 o'clock, which will be 6 o'clock UK time. And it's going to be fantastic. We're going to talk about the up-and-coming season. We're going to give our predictions for the team tomorrow. I want everyone on the live to give their predictions for the team. And we'll talk about the game on Saturday. So with that being said, I shall see you tomorrow morning for the early morning Celtic news update. Have a fantastic evening, Celtic fans all around the world.
lit. Roll up to the party, roll up